Well, good morning and welcome back to another week on my allotment. And as I did say in the last video, those who watch me regularly, I would be away for a week. And we were away for a week. We spent a week on Dartmoor, probably my favourite place in the whole of the United Kingdom. And we had the most wonderful week, I'm pleased to say. We arrived on the Friday afternoon and we left 8 days later, is it? Yesterday, which was Saturday. So from Friday through till Saturday. And we had 1 day of solid rain. And we had 4 days of unbroken sunshine. And on Dartmoor, that's fantastic. Yeah, the weather was actually very good. And of course, we can walk in all weathers, but you know, I'm sure you know that the weather makes a difference. And whilst we may say, oh, we're having a good time, even though the weather's bad, the weather makes and breaks a walking holiday. Anyway, we had a wonderful time, and I'll show you a little bit of that shortly. So we got back yesterday, Saturday, and I've got today, Sunday, on the plot. And no spectacular sunrise this morning, unfortunately. But it looks like it's very grey and overcast, but I think I'll probably have a dry-ish day. Which, you know, mid-October, that's what you can hope for. And I've had a walk around the plot, and it all looks very good. While I was away, the farm shop asked for all the pumpkins in. And of course, because I've got 2 plots here, I have to provide 5 pumpkins per plot, so 10 pumpkins in total. And before I left on the Friday, I loaded up my wheelbarrow and put it under the rain shelter. And it's gone, so I'm happy to assume that John took my wheelbarrow down as he said he would and dropped off my pumpkins as per the contract, so thank you to John. And he put the upturned empty wheelbarrow back over the lawnmower, which I keep on the plot. So I'm very happy with that. So that's that part of the contract done. I can relax about that. I've got a few other pumpkins down the bottom. They haven't really coloured up yet. We don't use pumpkins, so I'm going to clear those pumpkin beds. And really, that's what today is all about, is clearing the beds that have got mostly squashes in them, and weeding, hoeing, you know, it's all the boring stuff. But autumn really is a time to just ease off the pedal, just to ease off a little bit from the frenetic pace of the summer and the harvest, and just relax a little bit, I think. And I've brought some pencil, I brought a pencil and some paper up with me today, and when I have my tea break or lunch, I'm going to sit down and I have a paper plan of the plot for 2018 and 2019. No, that's not right. I have a paper plot for 2019 and this year. So I'm going to draw and plan out next year's plot using those 2 previous plans to make sure where I need to, I rotate the crops. So yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of fun planning next year with that. But on the plot, like I say, it's all about clearing the runner beans off the arches. The one arch at the bottom has sort of collapsed with the weather, so that needs clearing and dismantling, I suppose. So yeah, it's really a day of, by the end of the day, if I've got a lot of clear beds, apart from those that have crops in them, then I'll have achieved my aim. And if I don't, that doesn't matter. I was up here at about 20 to 7 this morning. It was pitch black. First thing I did, I got the fire on. It's not actually that cold, but this morning it really was chilly. And it's just a pleasure to have the fire, and the fire's still going, and I've had a cup of tea. And the beauty of the stove is I can leave the kettle on the stove and it just ticks over, and when I need a brew, I've got hot water ready to go on tap. So yeah, I'll show you a few clips and then we'll see what I get up to on the plot. So welcome along. Welcome to our week on Dartmoor, and we've come to the garden house in Yelverton on day one. Beautiful. Well, we're up on the moor now. We've walked from the campsite. The weather is terrible, but that's the gamble you take coming to Dartmoor in the autumn. So we're being rained on and we're heading across to that tour. Well, it's about 2 minutes later and the cloud has whizzed by and the weather changes. See? I need to do more positive thinking here. Cheers.
Oh, cheers, darling. You just roll out on your bed. A walk worn you out, darling.
I am weary, but I'm extremely happy. Different day, same weather. Well, the rain has abated for a minute. Flags flying on the hill, which means the military are doing their live firing exercises on the other side, so we can't go up there. But we've arrived at Wistman's Wood, which is featured in all sorts of documentaries about nature, not least of all Ray Mears. It's a unique sessile oak woodland. Let's go and have a closer look. It is a little bit like something out of Lord of the Rings. Every tree is a host to ferns and lichen. It's magnificent. Although Cheryl's not enjoying the boulder hopping. She's a straight, smooth gravel path kind of girl, aren't you, dear? Beautiful. And as we've come back, now that we're thoroughly soaked, the sun has come out. It's a day of two halves, and now it's stunning. On to the next phase of the operation, Cheryl.
What, lunch?
Well, yeah, that'll do. That'll do for a start. Well, we found a lovely spot for lunch in between walks. Absolutely stunning. We've moved slightly into the sun. Better spot, isn't it, dear? There's a lunch spot. This is A1. Another day, different walk, but the weather's being kind to us again. We're heading up there to Bellevator. And down to our lunch spot by the river. She's not going to like this. All right, dear. And as the sky gets ominously black, we've made it just in time. Next day, more nice weather. Well, unfortunately today is our last day on the moor, but the weather's super again, only a slight risk of showers, and a couple of days ago we were walking on that side of the valley. This is the River Dart Valley. What a view. We found a nice spot for lunch on the River Dart. Well, we just walked up one of the biggest hills I think we've ever walked up. And at the top is this lovely old church. So we're going to have some refreshment and catch our breath. For our last evening, I thought we'd come up and watch the sunset. Cheryl's over the moon with that idea. What you're not going to get is the whole sky.
No.
But that's getting intense, isn't it?
It's just starting to get down there.
Yeah. Back on the plot, over the summer, a couple of the other plotters, if they've got scrap bits of wood, or I collect the old bits of pallets, which you can see under the workbench and on the workbench. I store them in this watertight metal barrel, and people drop them off on the plot for me because they know I've got a stove and no one else has. And so this time of year, I'm busy. When I find it boring doing one job for any length of time, so I tend to break it up. And what John calls flitting, I flit from job to job. And one of the jobs, this time of year especially, is sawing into manageable stove-size lengths all the waste wood, and then I chop it and store it. And I store it in that barrel, as I say. And then if we pop inside the shed, oh, if I could only show you and make you feel the warmth of that fire. Yeah, I store the wood that's ready for the fire next to the stove there. So if there is any dampness, it's drying through while the fire's on. So that's another job for the day, is to saw and chop firewood, so that I'm not doing it when I need to get it ready for the fire. It's there, it's all prepared, and when I need a fire, there's plenty of wood available and I can just light it. So there's another job to do. And slowly, all that debris under there will clear. With my potatoes, the Sapo Mira, and an onion and a few leeks, Cheryl makes us a soup, a leek and potato soup, every week, because she works late on a Wednesday, and I can just about cope in the kitchen with heating up soup. So she makes a soup on a Monday or a Tuesday evening, and then I heat it up for tea on a Wednesday. So I'm going to take some of these leeks, and the potatoes and onions are already at home, and I'll do that on a weekly basis, probably 4 or 5 leeks, just in case one of them's a bit off. Well, I know it won't win any awards on the show bench, not that there are any show benches this year, but I'm thrilled with that. I'm going to collect a few more, clean them up, and I'll show you what I've got. Slightly cleaned up, and the wonderful thing about leeks from my point of view, I only discovered leeks when I got an allotment. I don't think I'd eaten them before that, but they're an incredibly hardy plant, so very easy to set seed, easy to plant, very little required in the way of maintenance. I mean, even with the driest of summers, once I've watered them in for a week or two, I leave them alone. So very easy to look after. They overwinter, they're bomb-proof, they get a bit of rust on them, but the rust, you know, as you can see, you can see there's rust on it there, but it doesn't affect the main plant once you get into it. And of course, it's part of the allium family, so it's incredibly nutrient dense, unbelievably good for you, and very tasty with a Sunday dinner. So I can thoroughly recommend them, leek Musselburgh. So there's enough there for a really good saucepan of leek soup. I have Robin's following me around. I have a couple of bowlfuls because one bowl just doesn't do me, and Cheryl has a nice good bowlful, and then I have the saucepan still got some in, and it lasts us another day. Maybe I'll have a lunch with it, but you know that when you think I've got about 130 leeks, and this does a soup for 2 or 3 days, you can't beat that. You can't beat that at all. Lovely. These are my last 5 buckets of main crop potatoes, Sarpo Mira, and I don't want to leave them in it. We'll see what I've got, but I've been quite disappointed so far by the size. The plus of growing them in the buckets has been that there's been not a single potato lost to pests, but they're the size generally of first early salad potatoes. So maybe I didn't water them enough. Maybe, you know, it's the fact that they're grown in buckets that, you know, they haven't had the nutrients. I don't know, but it's been a mixed bag. Good that they're not destroyed, which was what happened in the ground last year, but the size has been disappointed. These have been in a few more weeks, so let's have a look. That's a better size, but that's the more common. Anyway, I'll finish up the 5 buckets and I'll come back to you so you don't have to watch this boring process. Well, that's all 5 pots emptied, and whilst, you know, it's not the greatest crop, however, there's not a single one that I can see with a hole in it. In the 5 pots I found one wireworm. I found a wireworm, one. So I'm sure somewhere there's a hole. However, some of those are a really decent size. Let's have a look just to give you a sense of perspective. You know, they're not going to make big jacket potatoes, but I'm very happy. And I've got at least that again back in the garage in storage. So I'll leave these out to get a little bit of drying done today, and they'll go into the garage this evening. So I'm very happy. Well, apart from giving us a wonderful crop through the summer, the blueberries have now turned a fantastic dark red and really are attractive. And I've just put half a bag of acidic ericaceous soil in as a top dressing, just to give it a bit of a feed and a boost as we go into winter. Stunning plants. Well, a very brief look at the plot. I'm embarrassed to show this area. Needs sorting out, but that's for another day. I won't attempt to go under the arch because I can't bend that though. And you'll see the butternut squash bed is a long way off sorted. So much waste vegetation. It's taken me longer than I thought. Anyway, I've had a good day. I've achieved a lot, but sometimes you look at the plot and you think, what have I done? Yeah, what have I done? Actually, if we just look back at the bed there, I've dug that out, put in manure and raised that one up. That took me a couple of hours at least. But yeah, I'm very happy with my day. Everything's looking neat and tidy apart from the squash bed. Haven't looked if I've got any courgettes. Must have a look at that. But that's how it's looking at the moment, as autumn is well and truly upon us. Good harvest to take home. Obviously it's not all for tea tonight, but to be stored through the winter. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed my week away. But it's nice to be back on the plot, and you know, being autumn, the plot hasn't run away with the weeds, so I'm fairly happy with the condition it's in. Haven't achieved everything I wanted to today, but then you never do you? The squash bed still needs a lot of work, and it's not going to all be done today, but I've harvested all my potatoes now. That's all of my squash lifted. I've got some leeks to go home. I've just got to go and pick some carrots. Cheryl wants some carrots for tea. But yeah, oh, I need to take a cabbage home for my coleslaw. So yeah, very happy with the way it's looking. I've still got a nice lot of cabbages. I've still got quite a few carrots. But you know, I don't grow a lot through the winter. I may think about doing some broad beans next week, but we'll see. So, I'm back on the plot. I shall be around next weekend, hopefully. So, if you've seen it through this far, well done. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all those people who've stayed with me and have subscribed. And all being well, I shall see you next week. Look after yourselves and bye for now.